Welcome back, everybody, to another lesson. Today we are going to discuss how to convert fractions to decimals, part 1. What I mean by that is, I'll give you an example here. Let's say we have any fraction with a denominator of a power of 10. So, if you're working with a 10, 100, or 1,000, a 10,000, whatever, something that's a power of 10 in your denominator, it is relatively easy to convert to a decimal. So how are we going to do that with this 8/10 here? Well, what you want to do is take your numerator 8. You're going to make that an 8.0, because every whole number has a 0.0 by default. Now, in your denominator, you want to count how many zeros you see. You only see 1 0, so you're going to take the decimal place and move it one place to the left. So your answer would be 0.80. But we don't need that 0 in the hundredths place. That's just a placeholder, so you would get 0.8. And really, you have a 0 as a whole number to the left of the decimal, so your answer is going to be 0.8. So what you're doing is taking your numerator, and then you're going to figure out how many zeros you have in the denominator. We only had 1, so we take it, move the decimal place one place to the left. You'll come up with your result. You can truncate, is what it's called, when you cut out any unnecessary zeros, like we did from the hundredths place. So we're left with 0.8, and that means that there's a 0 in the ones place to the left of the decimal, so your answer is 0.8. But I got more examples. Okay. Let's say you have 51/10. So, you got 51/10 as your fraction. What you got to do, go ahead, write out 51.0, because again, every whole number has a 0.0. And how many zeros do you count in the denominator? You only count 1. So you only got to take the decimal place, move it one place to the left. So your answer is going to be 5.10. But we also see that we have an unnecessary 0 in the hundreds place. So we can just write 5.1. We can truncate that 0 out of there, and you'll get 5.1 as your answer. And I got even more. I got 6 more examples here. Alright. Let's say I give you 889 divided by 100. Alright, so you have 889 divided by 100. First thing you're going to do, again, take the number that's in your numerator, the 889, and you're going to write that as 889.0. And now you see you have 2 zeros in the denominator, so you need to take your decimal place that's at the 0, move that back 2 decimal places. So 1, 2. So your answer would be 8.890. But we can get rid of that 0 in the thousandths place. It's just a placeholder. We really don't need it. So we can what's called truncate that. So your answer would really be 8.89. That would be the answer we're looking for, is 8.89. Alright, 5 more. What do we got here? we got 92 over 100. So you got 92 over 100. Again, start with writing out your 92.0. Okay. Now you see two zeros in the denominator, which means you got to take your decimal place, move it 2 places to the left. So that'll be 1, 2, which would give you 0.920. Well, we have an unnecessary 0 in the thousandths place being a placeholder. We can truncate that, which will give you 0.92. And since you have a 0.92, that means you have a 0 in the ones place. So it would be 0.92. And that would be the answer you're looking for, 0.92. Alright. Now what if I give you one such as 7 over 100? So you have 7 over 100. Well, like anything else, take your 7, write it out as 7.0. You got 7.0. Let me move that to the right. You're going to see the reason why I'm moving it to the right a little bit more in just a second here. Okay, well you see 2 zeros in the denominator. That means you got to move it to the left 2 decimal places. Well, 1 decimal place would have a 0.7. So what I would do is I would add a 0 here, since you got to move another decimal place. A second decimal place would have it before the 0. So your answer would be 0.070. So we have 70 thousandths. We can get rid of that 0 in the thousandths place. That's not necessary. However, we cannot get rid of the 0 in the tenths place because this is 700ths. So you would get a decimal of 0.07, which would be 0.07. And that would actually be your answer for the decimal for this. Alright. So let's say now we have 3,798 over 1,000. Well, so 3,798 over 1,000. Again, like anything else, take your numerator, take the number in the numerator, write it as that number 0.0, so you can see where the decimal is located. So you have 3,798.0. How many zeros do we have in the denominator? We see 3. That means we have to go to the left 3 decimal places. So we'll go back 1, 2, 3. So your answer is going to be 3.7980. However, we have an unnecessary 0 in the 10,000ths place, so we can truncate that. We will just end up with 3.798. That would be your final answer, is 3.798. Alright, got a couple more problems. I have 2 more, yep. Let's say I have 780 over 1,000. 780 over 1,000. Well, again, you'll take what's in your numerator, that's 780. You'll write it out as a whole number with a decimal point of 0.0, so you can see where the decimal is located. Now you have 3 zeros in your denominator. What you have to do is take that decimal place and move it to the left 3 decimal places. So you'll have 1, 2, and 3. So you'll end up with 0.7800. Well, we have the 0.78. We really don't need the 0 in the thousandths or the 10,000ths place, so we could truncate those 2 zeros. If we have normal numbers, then we have zeros after it, you can always truncate those zeros. So you'll end up having 0.78, which means you have a 0 in the ones place to the left of the decimal. So the decimal form would be 0.78. Alright, I have one more. Here's going to be a fun one. This is a good one though. Let's say you have 9 over 1,000. 9 over 1,000. So how in the heck are we going to convert that to a decimal? Well, again, start out with writing your whole number 9.0. Now you need to go to the left. Since you have 3 zeros, you need to go to the left 3 decimal places. So if we go to the left 1, it'll be at 0.9. We should probably add a 0 there since we need to go back another. We go back a second decimal place, we'll be at 0.09. But we need to go 3 decimal places, so we actually need to add another 0. Move back a third one, you will be at 0.0090. Okay. Well, that 0 to the right of the 9 in the 10,000ths place, we really don't need that. We cannot get rid of the zeros in the tenths or hundredths place because we need it for the 9 in the thousandths place. That would be 9 thousandths. But we don't need the 0 to the right of that number. So that would reduce down to 0.009, which we know to the left of the decimal place there is a 0 for the whole number. So the real answer here is going to be 0.009. That would be your decimal answer for 9 thousandths. So that's really all there is to doing these. To convert it to a decimal, just take your whole number and figure out how many zeros you have and move it that many places to the left. Pretty simple, and you can always add zeros to the left of the whole number as you need to figure out your decimal places, like we did there. So next lesson's going to be about inequalities with decimals. I hope everyone has a good night and take care.